You mentioned something about the way they tested the to be a witch. How did they jump into that a little bit?
There were a lot of ways. So some of the
Please
ways.
elaborate and be specific, because believe it or not, I'm probably gonna try a couple of these on Trebles.
Oh my fucking god.
So
Kiss. Keep it simple, stupid.
Tell me, boy.
Esquite.
I love Esquita actually. It tastes pretty good. Well, I like the one with the sour corn. I mean the sweet corn. Yeah.
I'll give you
Ooh.
something sweet, big dog.
Oh damn. Testicles 1, 2. Testicles.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You guys already know.
That is right. Welcome back to Paranoid Radio Podcast. I am I am your humble host. And joining me in the ones and twos is the best goes in the wiki squeaky squeaky planet. Big Tank, salute, salute.
Salute, big dog. What's going on? How you doing?
I'm doing good, everybody, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen from around the world. This is the best show with the best content for the best squeaky squeaky listeners. So now I'm trying to avoid from using the word fucking a lot too, and then I'm replacing it with squeaky squeaky.
That's right. Fucking, y'all. Fucking.
There you go. There we fucking go. Guys, thank you so much for tuning back in. We have amazing content for you guys, a pre-recorded show. I hope you guys really enjoy this content with two special guest listeners from a different podcast. I hope you guys enjoy this. But before we jump into all of that freaking stuff, Big Tank, squeaky, squeaky, connect the random answer machine and give me the listener of the week.
Random machine, do your thing.
Paranoid Radio.
Listen to that baby purr. Big Tank, who do we have today?
YYZ Rico, nonetheless. YYZ Rico from Instagram. Massive shout out. This episode goes out to you, brother. I hope you appreciate it.
Dude, this episode is dedicated to YYZ Rico. He has been messaging us. He started listening to us. He paid us some homage. He gave us such inspiring words, and he is going cuckoo crazy speaking with us almost daily about topics and giving us ideas. We love to listen to our listeners. We love to listen to our listeners listening to us that are listening. Wait. You know what I mean?
Wow.
We love to get the feedback, guys. And we welcome everybody to freaking join the fun, jump the freaking train, and tell us what you think about the show. But on top of that, spread knowledge and wisdom. This episode goes out to you. Now, Big Tank, it's a bird, it's a plane. Nope, it's Paranoid Radio. Big Tank, what is happening?
What is happening? You guys know the deal. This is the best segment for the best show. Don't you guys forget it. So, I got you guys' 2 stories, and I want you guys' 2 cents. Because best believe I'm at your 2 cents for my 2 cents. I'm going to pause that bitch into the bank of knowledge, my people.
Ooh, the bank of knowledge.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. First one, my people. Bro. Okay.
Oh.
So, everybody knows. If you guys don't know, I love cars. That's like my deep-hearted love right there. All makes and models, doesn't have to be just one. Did you see how Dodge created a electric version of the Challenger?
And then they put a fucking speaker in the muffler? Get the fuck out of here.
Yes, it sounds like a thunder can. The fuck was that?
It's a cat. It's a cat. That's what it sounds like.
God damn.
My bad, Dodge.
Look. I understand that we're moving towards electricity, whatever it is, but I'm gonna have to say I didn't like it. It has the overall appearance of a Charger with a little bit more futuristic feel to it. I'm not a fan.
I love the bodywork. I'm not a fan because it originated with like a combustion engine, and now it's all electronic. I don't like anything that's controlled beyond my boundaries. So If it belongs to me, I want to control it, right? I don't want the company that made it to control it. In the year 2040, when all the cars are electric and you're trying to get away from fucking the apocalypse, you're not going to be able to because they're going to switch off your vehicle. And you're not going to be able to charge that shit. I'd rather fucking have, well put together some gas tanks around the house and then put them in my fucking combustion engine and dip the fuck out of here. However, I don't know how I feel about that electronic Dodge. It's fuck. I don't know.
Well, what do you think about it? I mean, put the whole fact aside of it being
conspiracy wise.
Yeah, being able to be controlled about it. I mean, I didn't ask.
Look.
What do you think about the car?
I don't like the fact that they put a fucking speaker in the muffler. It's false. It's fake. It reminds me of fucking fake news.
I've actually seen that a lot though by Tesla owners, where they'll put in the stereo, they'll put a sound of an exhaust.
But Tesla was born electric. Dodge is one of the fucking head muscle cars. Like, Dodge is the only one that competes against Chevy and Ford. So, like, how the fuck are you, like, dude,
But you can't be mad about that. Why? Because everybody has to be pushing towards electric. You can't get mad about that. It's either you adapt or you get lost in it.
You know what? That I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. You have to adapt. Not the fastest, not the loudest, not the strongest, not the first nor the last will make it. The one that adapts the fastest. Survival of the fittest. You're right. I stand corrected.
So I mean,
but how?
I'm a damn Thundercat. We went from a Hellcat to a Thundercat real quick, bro.
More like a pussycat.
All
right, go.
On to the next one. My people. What if I were to tell you that you could build your own city and create your own country?
Well,
Yes.
yeah, like if you're a fucking multi-trillionaire.
No.
Okay.
So in Australia, there is this small country within Australia where it has its own currency and everything, because technically the land does not belong to Australia. So if you guys don't remember, Australia
like a native Indian reserve.
No.
Canada has a lot of that too. We have that here in Vegas.
No, I'm not saying native. I am not saying native. So hashtag go look it up, my people. In Australia, there is this little country recognized by the Australian government.
Whoa.
As its own country. It has its own currency, it has its own driver license, it has its own president, and it has its own Bill of Rights.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yes. So the way it ended up happening is that, I don't know if you guys have ever heard, but there's like certain cities that are considered technically unincorporated. So you have Whittier, and then you have unincorporated Whittier. You have Pico Rivera and unincorporated Pico Rivera. It's almost, it's really similar to that type of sense.
Kind of like Amani and South Amani, how South Amani became its own city because of the industrial power that it had?
Okay, before it actually got the name, because Salem, I think, has only been around for like 50 or 75 years.
I see.
It hasn't been here that long.
These are called districts.
Yes. So it's technically wasn't outlined because it was never colonized by Britain. Because if you guys don't know, Australia was colonized by Britain. There's a reason that they say that the British sun will never set. Why?
Yeah,
because
upon the empire.
Exactly, because they'll never
were states everywhere.
Exactly, that's exactly what it was. So since it was never captured, the guy actually found out about this and he filed his petition for his own. He actually sent out a declaration to Australia that any type of illegal action will result in war. He has no military. It's literally just him, his wife, and his family. But he has no type of balls.
Whoa, wait. Technically, if you go and you want to disconnect yourself from and be your own foreign identity here, and I mean, like you could be recognized as your own country, walking country in the U.S. as well. There's a reason why it's called the United States. United States. The word key here is state and united, I guess. But state means that you are your own entity. Technically, if Texas and California or any other state, for that matter, wanted to separate from the union of the states, they could become their own country. In fact, if California, 10 years ago, obviously, if California separated itself from the United States of America, making the United States 49 states and California its own country, California will be the 7th richest country in the planet. Hashtag look it up.
Yes, but what's the likelihood of that going peacefully?
Well, technically, again, there's each state has its own government, and each state can, if they wanted to, be voted out. Well, I guess it has to be unanimous vote. I don't know how that works.
So Fun
they
fact.
can't say.
Fun fact. The only state that actually has the option, not voted out or anything like that, but the only state that actually has
Texas?
the option is Texas. That's actually written in.
Is that why it's called the Lone Star State?
Yes.
Because they're like, they could be by itself.
They
could, like, separate themselves.
literally have the option to be by itself. But what's the possibility of that happening peacefully?
Yeah. I know, and it's a force to be reckoned with. I'll tell you this much: California state, Arizona, or any other fucking state fucking breaks up, they'll join forces with Mexico, and then Mexico will fucking move in. Look, it'll be a battle war. It'll be a game for territory. And
Most definitely.
Now that you mentioned that, can I mention something real quick? The Inland Empire here in California, we have valleys and we have counties. So you guys, people that do not know, LA County is fucking huge. LA County owns most of the valleys in its around surrounding areas, except for one valley called the Inland Empire. Did the Inland Empire try to make its own state? Like,
No.
who the fuck is gonna? Was it their own state or county? Like, what the fuck? They try to separate themselves from California at all. Like, they wanted to depart from Cali, like be their own state.
I've never heard about that.
Look it up.
Hashtag
búscalo.
I know that there was supposed to be a 51st state during before Pearl Harbor happened.
So California, right? North California and South
North California, where it was, I think they were gonna call it Eureka or something like that. It had this really weird odd shape somewhere up there in the Golden Triangle type of area. But it got overshadowed by the Pearl Harbor incident when they were actually gonna vote on it.
Oh, look at that.
And then it didn't make sense because it was a state within a state.
Well, there's a reason why the states on the West Coast look bigger than the states on the East Coast. I mean, they could make states within states. Why do you think the states in the East Coast are all tiny and shit, right? Good what is happening, bro.
My people, this was what is happening. I hope you guys liked it. And if you guys did, I don't give a fuck.
Squeaky. Remember squeaky.
Nah. I'll see you regular schedule broadcasting.
That is right, Big Tank. Thank you so much for those two amazing stories. As always, doing an amazing fucking job. Now, everybody, we have an amazing show with two amazing guests up next. So please allow me to jump in from the deep end of the pool and set the fucking mood. From secret societies to black budget operations and abolishing slavery, America's history has always been a unique series of extraordinary events. Today, we focus on the famous Hexed Village, held captive by sorcerers and uncanny trials of witches named Salem Village.
I thought you were talking about Amani.
Or LA. To introduce so we called in two special guests that held a two-part series on the topic on their own podcast called Conspiracy Couple. Doing all the research, creative directing, editing, promotion, while being married and being parents to two conspiracy cats, this couple comes and drops bombs of knowledge to reveal the truth behind the Salem witch trials. Please give a warm welcome to Ethan and Marissa from the Conspiracy Couples podcast.
Hello.
Thanks, you guys. That was quite the intro.
Thank you. We do try. Thank you so much for being here, guys. I want to make sure that you guys know that this is a humble show, and we appreciate you guys bringing all the knowledge on this topic. Now, please, for the people that do not know you, please share a little bit about you and about your show.
Yeah, so I'm Marissa, and this is Ethan, and we are an
Hi,
Ethan. And we are an actually married couple. We've been married for 3 years. And I am fascinated with conspiracy theories and the paranormal and, cryptozoology and all those things. And Ethan's not.
Not at all.
No.
Wow. Okay. How does that work? I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. My wife is like that too, but she's just naive. She knows about it, and she's more into the religious side. Is that kind of like how it works with you guys also?
I don't know. I think in general, I'm just more skeptical about things. I think that's just kind of more my personality when it comes to this kind of stuff. Marissa kind of gets carried away with it. In my mind, although I will say, since starting the podcast and like actually listening when she talks about conspiracy
somebody's
theories,
waking up.
Yeah, I would say I'm becoming more, not a believer, but like more open to like the different ideas and things. Like I've been a huge I don't believe in aliens. I have been very adamant about that from the very beginning. But in our most recent episode we just dropped, we talked about a potential alien encounter, and
Wow.
I'm not gonna admit that I believe they encountered aliens, but it makes me think for sure.
All right. That's all we need. That's all you need.
Right.
It is very
Exactly.
rare to see female conspiracy theorists out there. They're all
Yeah.
smoke shows, and it's very rare to see them. And the ones I do know, I know them, and they're a little bit off the hinges, to say the least.
I'm not gonna confirm or deny that.
Okay. Well, that's good enough. We do get weird, and this is a weird show. So I say we just jump right into it, guys. Today we're gonna be talking about the Salem witch trials, which a lot of people have a misconception of. They think that it's basically they just market it. Basically, when you go to New Orleans, I've been there a couple of times, and they marketed voodoo, they marketed vampires, it's etc, right? So they lose the roots of the story, right? They lose behind all these brooms and witchcraft and witch hats and all the ghouls and stuff. They lose the essence of it. So now I want to talk about, not talking about essence. You've mentioned on your show, guys, make sure you hashtag look it up. You can find them on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify and on Google Podcasts. I already checked. I did my homework. Hashtag look it up. Conspiracy Couple Podcast. On the first episode of Salem Witch Trials, they mentioned about the Puritans. Can you let me know a little bit more about their lifestyle?
Yeah, so that was something that I think a lot of sources I looked into or things I listened to about the Salem witch trials didn't really touch on. But I was thinking in my head, how does a whole community of people come to, this place where they're accusing their neighbors and all this like craziness is happening? And so I was just kind of thinking, what were the Puritans like? Because we think of the people in like the black dresses with like the white aprons and little hats, and it's just like so sensationalized. And so basically the Puritans, they're like this ultra strict, ultra religious sect of, I believe it was the Anglican Church that broke off because they didn't think it was strict enough. And so they're very like hold to whatever, the Bible says. They're very community based. And so it wasn't just like personal, spirituality. It was the community has to be on the same page about everything. And something that I saw in one of the sources that really stuck with me was that the Puritan religion and the Puritan way of life was this constant state of spiritual anxiety and just feeling like they're not good enough and feeling like there's evil waiting to get into their life and get into their community, and that things that happen that are bad to them, that's because of evil or because of something they did. And so they're this ultra, I mean, I can imagine knowing how anxious they are all the time, just thinking about their own souls and all this, how they could kind of get into this place.
They're living in a constant state of fear. And you also mentioned that the word Puritans themselves, it was kind of like derogatory. They were calling them the Puritans, kind of like making fun of them, and then it stuck around as being actually the real name of the sect or indoctrination or doctrine. Is that what I mean? Kind of.
I would say maybe denomination.
Denomination. Okay.
Yeah, denomination, sect. I think it all.
Means the same thing.
To understand what happened in the Salem witch trial, guys, and we are going to get to the scary part, we have to understand what happened with Betty and Abigail and that one doctor in the village. Talk to me a little bit about that. How did this whole thing start with these two girls?
Yeah, so basically the first thing that happens is we have these two girls. They're probably like 9-10 years old, and they start acting weird. And they're having these like convulsions. They're like breaking into these fits of screaming, and they're hiding under furniture, barking like dogs. And they're acting, something that if you saw a child doing that, you'd probably be concerned. So one girl
not really. My kids are a little crazy.
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on the kid. I don't have very much experience with children, but if I saw it, like they're doing strange things. So one kid starts doing it, and then another kid who's their cousins. So the first cousin starts, and then the second cousin starts behaving the same way, and their parents freak out. And the dad is the reverend for this community. And so, I mean, just think of what a regular community member would feel in regards to like this pressure. He's the reverend. So his daughter is behaving totally crazy. He calls in the one doctor. They have one doctor in the village.
One doctor.
One doctor. And apparently this doctor was also only partially literate. He couldn't read. So
how is he a doctor?
I don't know. There wasn't a lot
Lower
of
standards.
lower standards. Yeah, I mean, they also
Okay.
didn't have germ theory back then. So,
All right. All right. All right. We're getting somewhere.
they call the doctor in, and the doctor does the exam.
Hmm.
And I don't really know what kind of an exam could be done, but he
Hmm.
looks at the girls and he's like, physically, they're fine. So he gives the diagnosis of bewitchment. So he says, whatever is happening, it's the result of them being, hexed by a witch.
But this is
And
before any of the witch accusations was happening, right?
yep, yep,
Okay. And then you also mentioned that they were playing around with tarot cards. No, no, no.
yeah,
Fortune telling.
fortune telling, yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
that came about after the
Okay.
diagnosis of bewitchment. So they're diagnosed with bewitchment, and I was really shocked to learn that bewitchment was actually a kind of common diagnosis that was made.
Uh-huh.
And if they didn't have an obvious physical reason for
Hmm.
them as being bewitched or under the curse of a witch.
Why is it so hard to just say I
Wow.
don't know?
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah. I
Hey,
don't
Wow.
know. I mean,
I'm
I
sorry,
know.
but Trebles, you're bewitched.
Okay.
110%. Because
Oh
you go
my
on all these rants, you have lash outs. God, hey, I appreciate you. We finally got his diagnosis. I was gonna say
You're
more
welcome.
schizophrenic, but I
You're
mean, hey,
welcome.
ooh, I'll take it. I'll
All
take it.
right, you got jokes. You brought some jokes. All right, all right, all right. Then, like,
I
save
mean,
some
hey,
for the end.
maybe you probably have more of a medical background than the doctor that they had, so
Wow.
you may
Yeah,
be
I
able.
bet. Yeah, I could understand that they were illiterate and they didn't have enough schools back then. I mean, it was a very strange time because
Hmm.
the I guess the civilians, I guess, with the colonials were still trying to fight off the British, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So at this time, there was a lot of wars going on or skirmishes going on. There was the British; they were, still trying to get their land
Hmm.
and settle in the new world. And then there were
Hmm.
also at that same time. I mean, we have kind of the rise of colonialism. So we have
Hmm.
the French, the Spanish, the Portuguese, all of these nations trying to get a foothold in America.
Hmm.
And then you also, add on to the fact that there are other people already living on this continent. And so
Yes.
there were some skirmishes between them as well.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
And
At this point, maybe what I'm seeing is that there was a moment of need and people needed an out or somebody
mhm,
to put the blame on. But
yeah,
before we jump into that, okay, the girls got caught up, the girls got bewitched, and then they started messing around with fucking tarot cards and gypsy stuff, right? Okay. And then when did the good stuff, the juicy part?
yeah,
They started accusing other people. Explain that part, because that's why I got a little confused on your show.
yeah. So basically, the girls get this diagnosis of being bewitched.
Hmm.
And so, of course, if they're bewitched, there has to be a witch who did it to them.
Oh man, here we go.
So they start trying to think. They ask the girls, okay, who did this to you? And the girls accuse three people. So they accuse Tituba is the most notable one, and she is the slave of the family.
Hmm.
And she was the reverend's slave. And then they accused two other women in the community as well, the Sarahs. That's what we were calling them on the podcast because it
Uh-huh.
was Sarah Good and Sarah Osborne. And they were two women who were not as on board in the church. One of them had in the past been caught having premarital sex. One of them was suing one of the elders in the church,
Uh-huh.
and one of them they owned a business as well.
Hmm.
So they were kind of like women who didn't necessarily fall in line.
Easy targets.
Right.
Yeah. Hmm.
So they accused Tituba and they accused the Sarahs.
Hmm.
And basically, the way that system worked, they set up this special court. And the way the court worked was that there is this emphasis on taking accountability and repenting for what you've done
Hmm.
instead of finding the culprit. And so they would tell people, okay, either you confess to be a witch and name names,
Hmm.
or we're going to hang you. Because they in their mind, it was more important that the person confessed
Hmm.
and then repented and then was like, okay, so who else is doing it too?
So they just wanted to collect more, like rat on each other, basically.
Yeah.
and not necessarily they were not. So people weren't necessarily witches, but when they were accused as witches, they were automatically put in jail, and they went through trial, they went through crazy interrogations, and then once they broke and they said, "Okay, I'm a witch," they would say, "Who else is a witch?" And they would get other witches in there. So but would they get released or still hanged?
Yeah. So if a person said, "I'm a witch," and then they named names, they would be released. But at the same time, you have to think, okay, this person has just confessed to being a witch. They're not going to be able to go back to like the normal community. They're not going to be able to go to church on Sunday after being branded a witch.
They were exiled. Eventually, they're going to be exiled from the community in the town and the village. And oh my God. Okay. So
but if
now,
go
ahead. I'm sorry.
So like a person, for example, like they say, "I'm innocent. I'm not going to say that I did this." They would be hanged because they were being untruthful.
After being charged guilty, regardless.
Yeah, because the idea was if you make it to this court, there's a reason. Like if someone accuses you, then you're a witch.
You're guilty automatically. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And then you mentioned also because of the ways there were like the trials were being handled throughout there's this event in history. The federal court system started changing the way, like you could now cross-examine each other's people, right?
Yeah, and that was one of them was the right to have a defense. Also the concept of innocent until proven guilty. That was a big thing that was implemented, and also the right to cross-examine.
Wow. Hashtag look it up, fellas. That's a little power bomb right there. For people that did not know, this event actually changed the court system in the US. That's pretty big. That's huge.
Yeah.
Now, tell me a little bit of how they interrogated and how did they test for witches? Like, this is massive. We're talking about every other woman. We're talking one house yes, one house no will be, hey, that's a witch. And then husbands were testifying to say, hey, yeah, she's not a witch. There was husbands saying, yeah, she is a witch. She's not a witch. She'll turn to a witch. And then something about a 4-year-old girl being a witch? Explain that to me.
Yeah. So one of the Sarahs, I believe it was Sarah Good, she had a 4-year-old daughter. And I think this 4-year-old daughter the father was not Sarah's husband. And so when Sarah was arrested, they brought in her daughter and they basically interrogated her daughter, asking her if she was her mom.
The 4-year-old.
Yes. So they're asking if her mom is a witch. And this is the woman whose husband said, "Oh, my wife is definitely a witch." And so
to save his own skin, right?
To save his own skin, yeah. And so the daughter, of course, I mean, she's 4. So they're getting in her face. They're asking her if her mom's a witch. And she's like shy. So she was shy and she was kind of nervous. And so they took that as an indication that she was also a witch.
They're fucking ignorant. I'm sorry, guys. That's any little excuse. I think you know what it is? They got bored, dude. They got bored. There was too much. There was nothing really exciting happening in the village and in this Puritan way of life, and then nothing evil ever happening, and then something finally evil happens. Oh my God! Boom! The bomb goes off,
and they're also so stressed out. I mean, I can't imagine like living through that. Like, oh, there's famine. There's no food. There's like terrible weather, and also
we're cursed, we're hexed.
Every other day there's like another power that's trying to wipe us out. Like I mean you're bored and stressed.
Yeah. You mentioned something about the way they tested the to be a witch. How did they jump into that a little bit?
There were a lot of ways. So some of the ways.
Please elaborate and be specific, because believe it or not, I'm probably gonna try a couple of these on Trebles.
Oh my fucking
God. So yeah, one of them was called a witch's cake. And so basically they would like take the urine from, I think it was the person who was bewitched, not the witch, the person who was bewitched.
Okay.
And they would mix the urine with like flour and some wheat, and then they would bake it and feed it to a dog.
A dog?
A dog, yeah. So if the dog started acting weird, then they would say, okay, that's a sign that this person is bewitched.
But why not a cat? I mean, aren't cats more closer to witches than dogs?
That's what I thought. Right? That's what I thought.
Yeah.
But apparently not.
So that's what I was expecting too. But dogs were actually considered to be the companion animal for witches. at the time.
Weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, that's kind of interesting. But
Hey,
yeah.
you know what? You know what? I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm gonna let you guys know something. 2 episodes ago, Big Tank mentioned to me, and what is happening, that the dog owners are now becoming less dog owners. So I guess the dog is not man's best friend anymore. About 52% of people, Americans, own dogs, and the other 40, what, 9%? 49,
Well,
48%.
47, and then like 1% is reptiles or whatever it was.
Okay, so the other 47% own cats. So I mean, this is a cat revolution, dude. Cats are coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see where it's folding up. Okay. I'm sorry to interrupt.
I think that 1% that has lizards is probably witches, though.
I see where you're going.
I mean, the reptilians, for sure.
Oh, there you go, dude. Okay, don't even jump with the reptilians, dude. Don't even jump there. Okay.
Okay, sorry. And that'll be another conversation.
So they used to give cakes to dogs. This guy's hashtag look it up. I know this sounds a little insane, but look it up.
There's like even weirder ones.
Well, okay,
so,
give me one more.
This one was one that I thought was absolutely insane. And then because I'll just tell you, but basically, let's say that that they're in the courtroom, and this would happen a lot, where they'd be in the courtroom undergoing a trial, the witch would be on the stand, and one of the victims would start acting crazy. They'd have one of their fits, they'd start screaming. And so what they would do is they would tell the accused witch, okay, go put your hand on them. If they stop what they're doing, if they calm down, that means that you have power over them. If they continue, then that means you don't have power over them.
Wait. So the person just starts having spasms? Like, how would you choose this person with the spasm? Like, how does that...
The person who was... Because usually, like, the person who was accusing them of being a witch was in the courtroom.
Okay.
So, like, let's just say, okay, so, for example, Betty... I don't know if this actually happened, but Betty accuses Sarah. So while they're in the court, Sarah's on the stand, Betty starts having a spasm.
Okay.
So they say, okay, Sarah, go over and touch her. Sarah goes over and touches her. And if she stops, if she calms down, then they would say, okay, that you're using your power on her.
Wait. This whole thing just collapsed on itself. So the person that's accusing and the accuser are in the trial, right? They're in court. And then so if the person randomly starts having a spasm and the witch comes and touches it, they have power over them. However, the person that's just having a spasm is acting weird. So therefore, she's a witch.
So basically, that was... They would use that as evidence. But then they had to, they stopped, because we know that there were multiple people who faked that behavior to convict the witch.
Right. It'd be like if you're in a courtroom and they ask the defendant to come up and be like, hey, did this person do it? And they're like, and you say yes, and all right, guilty.
Whoa.
Obviously, they're just trying to get the conviction they want.
Yeah.
Now, guys, there's a couple of things that I didn't mention that I had to pull from your episode. Guys, check this out. The 4-year-old girl that was interrogated, the one that accused her mom of being a witch, she then became targeted and was accused of being a witch once she grew up. Right? And then now let's get to the real stuff about it. Like, this reminds me of Hocus Pocus, the movie. You guys, remember that Disney movie, right? Okay. So now I want to come down to something reality. Maybe there was witches that were causing this drama, or there was maybe the government, MK Ultra. I don't know. There might be something happening, right? But in all realistic, in life, there's always a reason. There's always a cause for things. You mentioned that there was also this weird fun growing in the area. Explain.
Yeah. Sorry, you cut out there. You said the fungus.
Yeah, there's this fungus that was growing in the area. Please explain.
Yeah. So they're on one of their common crops, there is this fungus that can grow on these crops in certain conditions. And so basically that place where they lived was the perfect conditions for this fungus to grow. And so one of the signs of the toxicity or the side effects of eating the fungus would be seizures, spasms, convulsions, all of those initial symptoms that made people call the doctor. And it's a food that they would eat every single day. So they would use this grain in everything that they ate. And
this is like lead, right? Like lead. Eventually, once you eat lead, you start going cuckoo.
Right. Yeah. It's like lead poisoning. So this is I think it's ergotism is what it's called. But it's this fungus that has this it kind of acts like LSD. So it has this one of the ways that they make LSD. And so you would have these spasms, you would have these like hallucinations, and that was something that was very prevalent in the area, and it was on a food source that the people ate all the time.
And they would
And
never
so,
think it was injected in the food. So
right,
there's this
they
fungus
wouldn't
that's
have
making
any
you go
idea.
crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds very that sounds like that's doable. I could believe that happening over people bewitching each other.
Yeah.
That's definitely that can happen. That's a possible thing. We've seen people go crazy. We've seen people have that what's it called, that dance that dance sickness,
plague.
The dancing plague, the laughing plague. So, and it all comes from like things like this. You mentioned that the fungus was also, it still is a source for LSD.
Yeah. And so it has like those same properties. And so it has that hallucinogenic effect. So if someone ate it, like if a little kid eats it, they don't know they're eating it, they're going to start having those like spasms and start having those like, same things that you would have if you were on LSD. But of course, I mean, the Puritans don't do LSD regularly, so they don't know what it feels like.
Unless they didn't know they were doing it. They were doing it regularly, but they didn't know they were doing that bad
thing. They might not, right? They might.
That is insane. Dude, this is an amazing show. And I know there's so much information in here. We have husbands that betrayed their wives. We have people that, and then you also mentioned that it's not called Salem Town, it's called Salem Village. So there's two Salems, and this whole thing blew out of proportion, and it grew outside. Like, it started growing and it started evolving outside to other towns. So they had to get and organize and create a larger court system because they were getting overrun. Not overrun, but they were getting overwhelmed.
Yeah.
That's insane, guys. That's insane. You guys did a lot of freaking research, and I'm telling you guys, you have to go check them out. Conspiracy Couple on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. They have an amazing content, and if you guys want to know a little bit more about the Salem witch trials, please check them out. Guys, let them know what you think, and what's your message for the world, and let them out. Make sure you put in your plugs for people where can find you.
Yeah. So just like you said, we have, we're on all the major podcast platforms. We also have a YouTube channel. So if you want to, see our faces, occasionally see our cats in the background, it's just Conspiracy Couple Podcast on YouTube. And yeah.
And then social media, Conspiracy Couple Podcast on Instagram and TikTok and all that jazz.
That is up. That is what's up. Thank you so much, guys. Big Tank, let them know where they can find you.
So you guys know the deal. Catch me at EKNAT626. Once again, EKNAT626. This had a lot of info, my people. Definitely go check them out. You guys will not regret it. Be a follower like me and Trebles. But besides that, we'll catch you guys next time.
That is right, guys. Thank you so much for being here, guys. You guys blew it out of the water. I want to show you a little bit of appreciation, and we are going to put you guys up on paranoidradio.com on our website. So if you guys cannot find them on your phone, I'll put it up on paranoidradio.com, and you guys will be able to find it under the tab for special guests and links.
Paranoid Radio.